Hello, Stephanie.
Hello, Punam. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. I'm very good. The weather is really nice today here in Los Angeles.
Wonderful. So, welcome back.
Thank
It's
you.
my pleasure to have you back again on this platform to share your application experience the next time. So,
Yes, it's so nice to see you and speak with you again.
yeah, same here. So, for those who have not seen your 2022 interview, can you please tell our viewers about your academic and professional experience?
Yes, I'd love to. So I was born and raised in Lebanon. In 2016, I graduated from the American University of Beirut, and where I earned my degree in business administration. In 2017, I landed a management trainee program at the Kraft Heinz company in Dubai. I took the opportunity and I made the move. A year later, after completing the management trainee program, I shifted into the food and beverages industry, where I worked for companies and brands like KFC, Cinnabon, Peet's Coffee, the best American brands out there. I climbed the ladder from an entry-level role into a mid-managerial position. And then in 2022, so after 7 years, I realized that I needed a shift and a change in my life. And that's when I started looking at MBA programs. And, that's where I met you and our journey began together.
Your application journey is unique.
Yes.
You started applying to Canadian programs. We worked together on Canadian programs in 2021. You got into both the Canadian programs, and but because of some unforeseen circumstances, you could not join that. And then you did not give up. You you shifted your focus to US MBA programs, and then we worked again. And you applied to 4 programs and got into 3. So can you tell our viewers your extended MBA journey and how it has been your experience working for both uh, MBA programs in both the countries, US and Canada?
Yes. I'll start from the beginning to give a little more context, about my journey. So as you mentioned, I started off applying to Canadian universities in 2021. I was really focused on Canadian programs over US programs at the time, and I was really set on moving to Canada in 2022. I applied to McGill and Concordia and was accepted into both with scholarships with a 610 GMAT score. Unfortunately, even though I did want to go to McGill due to unforeseen circumstances, I wasn't able to move to Canada despite the offer. And that's when I shifted my focus to the US. I applied to UC San Diego, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, and UCLA Anderson. And I ended up receiving, as you mentioned, offers from 3 of them. And, including, of course, UCLA Anderson, where I am now. Now moving on to the application experience and the process of getting into an MBA program in both countries. I'd say the processes are quite similar between both countries and all universities, in fact. The key is really understanding what's required and having a plan to get everything done in a timely manner, because some things really take longer than you expect. And so, one of the biggest lessons I learned is to start gathering all the requirements and understanding them at least 2 months in advance before the deadline. This is for things outside of the GMAT, like, transcripts, essays, letters of recommendation, etc. Now, for the GMAT specifically, definitely give yourself some more time, even more than 2 months. How much time really depends on the person. I wouldn't want to comment on that. For me, it was a really long journey, as you know.
Yeah.
Um, I took the GMAT multiple times over the course of 2 years, so it really depends on the pace of the person taking the test. Um, but despite that, once you know the requirements and you give yourself that 2 month window for everything else but the GMAT and enough time for the GMAT, it's just about knocking out the steps one by one very patiently.
True.
And I was really lucky to have you as my mentor throughout this process. And, working together made things so much more manageable and organized and structured. And I think that was the key to my smooth transition throughout the application deadlines.
Yeah, we have known each other for 4 years now.
Yes.
So GMAT was the most challenging aspect of the application process. How did you navigate this challenge, and what strategies did you use?
Yes. So I knew from the beginning that I wasn't very good at standardized tests. As you know, they make me very anxious and nervous, and this actually made my whole journey personally very tough. And it's good that I knew that because that's why I started early. I began studying for the GMAT a year before the 2022 application deadlines for Canadian schools. I was hoping to get it out of the way in 2021, but it actually ended up taking me an extra year. At first, I was studying on my own, but after 2 attempts, I realized that I'm just not going to be able to make it on my own. And so I decided to take a GMAT course with Princeton Review. I wanted to feel more psychologically comfortable with the material and being part of a structured program that has a name behind it. Princeton Review is one of the biggest organizations when it comes to GMAT prep. I knew that that would help me with my anxiety.
Right.
And so, I joined this program and the training sessions, and that's when I actually got a 610, which was higher than the rest of my scores, right? And I'll be honest, I was looking for at least a 650, but I still took it as a win. I was tired of the process at that point, and I made the conscious decision to stop there. Um, and then, of course, I felt even more comfortable about my 610 score after meeting you. You suggested that I write an optional letter to the admission team explaining my text anxiety and the steps I took to overcome it. And I have to say, it worked really well. The admission team was very empathetic, and I was so glad that I followed your advice.
Thank you. I have also enjoyed working with you, and I am so happy that you were successful. Our strategy worked, and you received admission offers from 3 schools. You had already accepted offer from UC San Diego, and because initially you were waitlisted at UCLA. And I would like you to share with our viewers what waitlist strategies we both used that helped you convert your waitlist status into an admission offer despite a 610 GMAT.
Yes, that's a really key question here.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was thrilled to receive offers from all the UC universities that I did in San Diego, Riverside. And at the time, I actually accepted UC San Diego's offer because I was waitlisted for UCLA. I truly believe that my GMAT score might be a deal breaker, and I didn't want to risk being left without a plan. So I had to make the decision to have a plan B in place, and my plan B was UC San Diego. When it came to converting the waitlist into an admission offer from UCLA, I honestly owe it all to you. On the application portal, if you
Thank you.
remember, there was a section where I could update my credentials. So things like a new GMAT score, updated a new employment opportunity, new recommendations, etc. There was also the option to submit an additional letter to the admission team. So just giving with that context, just walking the viewers through the strategies that we took one by one. First, following your advice, I secured a letter of recommendation from my former company CEO, which
Yes.
I believe added a lot of weight.
Yes.
Second, I was promoted at the time at my work. And so we wrote a letter explaining the new responsibilities that I had and what that meant in terms of leadership and growth. The third thing that we did, and I think this was one of the very, very important things, was that we reiterated in the letter how the quantitative nature of my job in the food and beverage industry would allow me to succeed and overcome the rigor of the MBA program. And so we highlighted stories about some of the analytical projects that I've handled. And just to let the viewers know the kind of projects I'm talking about, earlier when I was working for KFC, I had to come up with a customized menu for different regions in the country because each region in the United Arab Emirates, where I used to work, have different demographics. And so I looked into the data to identify what the different demographics like, and hence I customized the menu that fits into the different requirements and the preferences of the people, of our customers. The other projects that I'll give from Pete's Coffee was I actually launched Pete's Coffee in the Middle East.
Yeah.
The first location was in Dubai. And so, I came up with a go-to-market strategy. I looked at the pricing, where to launch the product. And so really a lot of work that had a quantitative nature, a lot of data to look into market research. So we made sure to highlight all the key elements that are of a data analysis nature in front of the admission committee. And we did that by, highlighting all the stories in that additional letter that I referred to in the beginning of our conversation. And yeah, I think that was really important. I remember the other thing that made a lot of difference was we showed how my values and personality aligns with the values that UCLA carried.
Yeah.
UCLA as a university is all about sharing success. Everyone in the university is just about helping each other. And
Right.
I spoke about the times where I've helped teams other than my own team at work to navigate through a problem, and how I've coordinated with other other departments outside of marketing in order to make things easier and life easier for others, and how I was in a women empowerment committee. And so all this really highlighted the alignment in values with UCLA, and this was also highlighted in that letter. Last but not least, and most importantly, with your advice, we addressed the GMAT score head on in this
Right.
letter. We were very honest about knowing that it was below average. And, we submitted a personal letter explaining my text anxiety and the steps that I took to manage it. And I remember on this one, I was a little skeptical in the beginning because I was going to be vulnerable in the letter. But then with your encouragement, I was able to open up and really put my heart and soul into it. And I think that really moved the admission committee, and it really made a difference. Yeah, and I'm here now.
Yeah.
I got
It all
accepted,
worked.
and I'm I'm in the end of the
All,
process.
all the other measures we took. And
Yeah.
in the end, honesty. So they rightly said that honesty is the best policy. No one is
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
So,
Very true.
and I'm so happy that it all worked.
Yeah, same here. It's been an amazing time, a great journey as a result of all the effort that we put in.
Exactly. So considering the average GMAT score for UCLA Anderson is 710, for UC Irvine 652, and for UC San Diego 675, it is commendable that you were accepted with a 610 score, which in your words felt like a miracle. Can you comment on the other strong aspects of your profile that offset your low GMAT and convince the admission committee that you could handle the academic rigor? of the program?
Yes. It definitely felt like a miracle. I think
Something happened.
highlighting the analytical skills I developed throughout my full-time job really helped strengthen my profile. Second, directly addressing the issue, the GMAT score, with the admission committee, really made a difference. Being honest really made all the difference in the world. And finally, I believe that my interview went really well with the admission committee. I was very well prepared. I had done a ton of research on the university, and I think that really showed, and demonstrating like this curiosity and genuine interest and commitment is something that University of California really values in their applicants. And so I think that made a lot of difference as well.
Of course. So can you share some interview tips?
Yeah, of course. I think, reflecting on my own experience and how the interview went, I think three things really helped me in this process. The first is that I had done a ton of research on UCLA, but my research wasn't, it didn't stop after looking at the website. I went out, I spoke to alumni from UCLA, I spoke to current universities who were in the program at that time, and I tried to understand really the values and the kind of program that UCLA has. And I definitely made sure to pass that on to the admission committee. They could see that my passion and my drive for the MBA program through my curiosity and all the effort that I put in to really do the best research I could. And also I was in the Middle East, so I had to do put more effort in order to really understand how the DNA is.
Yeah.
The second thing I think really, and this goes a little bit into that research, but knowing about the academic initiatives in place as part of the MBA program is key. So these would be things like the capstones that the MBA program offers, the global immersions, the industry immersions, really knowing what is there out there at the university and how you can utilize it to get to your desired professional goal is really important. And finally, having a certain idea, a high level idea of what you want to do after graduation and communicating to the admission committee that you have actually thought about it is important. Now, I'm not saying that you can't change that plan. No one is going to hold you accountable to what you said in the admission interview, but it's really good to see that you have a plan. You're the kind of person who plans, who's organized, who has a, 3 to 5 year success metrics for themselves.
And your confidence, your communication skills, your ability
Yes.
to think on your feet,
Yeah.
everything played an important role in your
Yes.
interview success.
Yes. Yeah, I think also the more you practice the interview,
True,
the more it becomes easier to navigate questions because it's like a mock, but it still helps in the actual interview.
true. And before UCLA, you had already given so many interviews, so that also boosted confidence. That's what I have heard from other students, that with each interview, they keep getting more and more confident.
Yes, it definitely helps. It gets easier. You get used to how it works, so it becomes, second nature at some point.
True. Well, you are a second year student at UCLA Anderson, and you are going to graduate in 2 months,
Yeah,
just 2 months.
crazy.
So, what has been your favorite aspect of the program so far?
Yeah, it's crazy how time flies, but it really breaks my heart to know that I'll be graduating soon. I've had such an amazing time at UCLA, and there are so many things that I've enjoyed about my experience. it's hard to pick one, but since you asked, I think the thing I'll be missing the most is having coffee with my friends outdoors at Ender Cafe. Ender
Uh-huh.
Cafe is like the university's coffee shop. I would sit there with my friends, have coffee, talk about assignments, life in general. So that's definitely one thing that I'm really, really gonna miss. I think this is more on a personal front. On a
Yeah.
professional front, I would say I've been, for speakers out there, just to put some context into this, I've been helping the team at the Career Center, the Parker Career Services Center, train first-year students on how to craft resumes, prepare for interviews, write cover letters.
Mm-hmm.
And so giving back in that way and working with the amazing students, the first-year students at UCLA has been incredibly rewarding, and it makes me really happy.
Great. So, can you tell us something about Anderson's career resources and how these resources have helped people get their desired job?
Yes. Honestly, I think UCLA has great resources in place to help you get to where you want to be post-graduation. That said, I do want to put it out there that a lot of it depends on you.
Yeah.
It takes hard work, long hours from your side to make things really happen. But that said, the tools to succeed are definitely there at UCLA. And so it's sort of a
True.
partnership that you get into. Um, and some of the ways that UCLA helps, there's a lot, but I'll mention just a couple of them. So when you first start the program, as you know, UCLA starts a little earlier in July. So UCLA gives you about a 1.5 month of training focused on introducing the students to the different industries in the country, with
Mhm.
an emphasis on those most prominent in California. This really helps you get a sense of what you might want to go into, or if you already have a plan of your target industry, it just gives you more insights and a more solid knowledge of it. This was really helpful to me. The other thing that happens is, in parallel during the same period, you are paired with an academic advisor and a career advisor who helps you craft your resume and prepares your cover letter, all aligned with the target industry you want to go into, because there are definitely nuances between the
Mhm.
industries. Then a couple of months in, companies start coming to campus. Each industry has its own, I would say, career month. For example, healthcare companies start coming to campus starting November. Consulting starts a little bit earlier, I would say in early September.
Mhm.
But by then you already have like a solid understanding of the industry landscapes, the key player, and all the key players in the industry. And UCLA does a great job focusing on the companies they know will actually recruit from UCLA. And so, but there are also beyond campus recruitment strategies in case you're looking at a company outside of UCLA. So that support is all there. Um, Now, when I say career month, part of it is really like attending roundtable session with companies that come in. You can ask questions, learn more about their company, which will in turn help you with the interview process.
Mhm.
Then comes the networking part. This is where your advisor becomes super helpful. At least for me, it was super helpful.
Mhm.
Especially if you're not familiar with how networking works. I actually did a few mock sessions with my advisor in order to be ready for all the interviews that I'm going to be for the networking, coffee chats that I'm going to be having with the prospective company employees. And I guess the other thing I'll mention is on top of all of that, there's IPT groups. IPT stands for interview practice training. These are trainings that help you prepare for the actual interviews, starting with like fit and behavioral questions. And you can even practice cases if that's relevant for you. And so these are just a glimpse of what's out there at UCLA. These are what I utilize the most, but I can talk till tomorrow about all the
Oh,
resources available, but rest assured, by the time applications open, you'll be all ready to go and you'll feel confident about where you stand.
that's awesome. That's a lot of resources to help students get where they want to be.
Yes.
So I have heard from students that first year is pretty challenging, adjusting to a new environment, in some cases, new country, like with you, and managing academics and networking. So I would like to know, how did you navigate these challenges and what advice you have for incoming students?
Yes. There's definitely a lot of challenges. Um, Luckily, I mean, you mentioned moving countries. When it comes to the social aspect, like making friends specifically, UCLA really does a great job of bringing people together through social events, and that happens especially in your first year. And other than that, I can say that students at UCLA are very respectful, kind, and supportive, and super friendly. And, that's really the kind of culture that the school strives to build.
Yeah,
And so, from a social perspective, I think it's really easy to navigate that challenge because of the different mechanisms in place and the type of people in your classroom. Now, from a professional perspective, I would say that the biggest challenge for me was recruitment, but specifically networking in the realm
mhm.
of recruitment.
Okay.
Networking was something I have never done before moving to the
Yeah,
US when it comes to like really securing a job. To be honest, I didn't even know what a coffee chat was. And for speakers out there who are international, they might not be familiar with what a coffee chat is.
true.
It's basically an interview or a meeting. I don't even want to call it an interview. It's a meeting that you have with an employee in the company you're interested in and the company you want to interview for, where you ask questions about, the work, the culture, the type of people, and you get a lot of information before you go to the interview and decide to step into that job. So really in the US, you're really supposed to speak to a lot of people at the company beforehand, before just really applying. And you can't just apply solely based on the job description, which is what I used to do in my country. So it was really different. But again, I do have to say that UCLA, the team, the Career Center at UCLA does a great job of laying that out. They tell you what's required for successful recruitment, including the importance of networking. And that's what set me up for success. But of course, again, it's up to you to come up with a strategy, get comfortable reaching out to people you've never met before. And as I mentioned earlier, one thing that really helped me is having those mocks. Even when it comes to networking, I was doing mock coffee chats with my advisor.
Oh,
And so yeah,
mhm.
it was a lot of work. So but it all worked out. Now I do it naturally. As you mentioned, interviews become easier, networking becomes easier as well. So
Yeah,
it's all gonna work out at the end of the day. It's just that push is required and attention is required a little bit in the beginning of the process.
awesome. So you have shared a lot of details about what UCLA has given you. I would like to know, what do you consider to be your most valuable contribution to the program?
Yeah. I think I've contributed to the program in different ways. When I first, started the MBA, the MBA program, I really was looking to improve my leadership skills in the classroom. And so during group projects, I made an effort to take on leadership roles as much as possible and get more comfortable with that
Mhm.
responsibility. And so my capstone project was the one where I fully stepped into the team leader role, and we actually really did a great job, and I was very proud of myself for that. Now, other than that, in terms of clubs, for example, I've served as the VP of Marketing Communication in the healthcare club. So I was the main point of contact for anything the club wanted to communicate to students. I was at the forefront of all the messaging and the outreach. I was also working as an advisor at the Career Services Office, and I was helping first year students with their resume, cover letters, interview prep. And I'd say finally, I took on the role of a lecturer for a 3-month course that introduces students to the world of healthcare because I am going into healthcare. And in that role, I help students learn about different company best practices for landing internship and full-time roles.
Mhm.
And I also taught them how to network and how to create long-lasting connections. And so this course was part of the ACT training program, which students can opt into if they want additional support and guidance to successfully enter into their industry. It is optional, but I did it in the first year, and so I decided to train other students in the second year because it really helped me a lot.
Great. That's impressive. Looks like you have also contributed a lot to the program and you have been very active these
Yes,
2 years.
yes. It was busy 2 years.
Yeah,
Busy, but very nice, very good. It was a great experience. I'll do it again if I go back.
that's great to know. Everyone I have talked to after they were in the program, they said they want to be here, but all good things come to an end. You can't be here for more than 2 years.
Yeah, I remember thinking, oh, I wish the MBA program was 3 years. So that's definitely top of mind. It's something that I hear all students talking about, actually. Everyone said to have this, chapter come to an end.
Exactly. And another good chapter is going to begin.
Yes.
Last year you interned at Amgen and later you received a full-time job offer. Would you like to share your internship experience and how it led to a full-time job at the same company?
Yes. So when I went into the MBA program, I followed my passion for healthcare, even though I was from the food and beverage industry, right? But that was something that was there in the back of my mind. And so I did a lot of research and I finally decided that Amgen would be one of my top employers. And so I did the internship and I'm so happy about getting the full-time offer. I'll be starting in July. I'm super excited.
Me too.
Um, and with Amgen, there were really two key things I focused on that really helped me with my journey and supported the process of sort of trying at least to secure a full-time offer. So the first thing was really networking within the company during my internship. This is especially important in healthcare companies. They want to see that you are super curious and you're genuinely excited about the role, the company, and the people in it. And so throughout my internship, I made sure to network a lot and to create, long-term connections with people from different stages of the corporate ladder.
Mhm.
And so that was the first way. The second thing that I did was simply putting in the hard work. I focused during my internship on identifying and solving problems that could become roadblocks or bottlenecks for the company. It's really come down to being passionate about what you're
Yeah.
doing. Amgen values people who have like a go-getter mindset, who are curious, hardworking, putting the hours. And I was intentional about, conveying that to the team I was working with throughout my time there. And, it paid off. As I mentioned, I'll be starting in July and I'm looking forward to it.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
So, Stephanie, what advice you would give to the incoming students?
Yeah. So, multiple advices, I would say. First, for students switching industries, and this was around more than 50% of the class, at least in my year.
Oh,
And I was doing that as well. Yes, I definitely recommend joining the industry immersions.
Mm-hmm.
Immersions are like a fast track course that give you a solid foundation of your chosen field. There are like ones for healthcare, technology, real estate, consulting, finance. Like really, there are a lot of them out there, and you can choose the one that fits your goals in the best way possible. So that's one. So, and for people, since I'm in healthcare, I can speak to the healthcare track a little more than the others. For anyone going into healthcare specifically, I highly recommend taking the course US Business of Healthcare. The professor really does an amazing job of breaking down the complexities of the US healthcare system in a way that makes it very easy to understand. He's incredibly knowledgeable, and I actually took this course after my internship, but I could have imagined how much easier my life was going to be if I had taken it before. And so, just a tip I'm putting out there. And finally, what I can say is the recruitment process is not easy. The job market is not as easy as it was before, as you know. And so really being resilient and not giving up
Mm-hmm.
on what you want and it is really key to you getting to your desired destination. So be patient, be strong, and put in the hard work, and then the results will come out at the end of the day.
Sounds great. This is valuable information for the incoming students. Thank you for that. So, Stephanie, it has been a pleasure talking to you and listening to your valuable insights. And do you think you have anything else to share with our viewers?
I mean, I think we covered just about everything, at least at a high level. For
Mhm.
anyone watching this, I'm more than happy, to connect with you if you have any questions about the program or healthcare, or if you just want to learn more about my journey. I really want to give back, and so many people, supported me throughout this process, starting with you, Punam. And so I really appreciate it, and I want to give it back to anyone who, is hoping to get into my shoes, And so I want to also, for the last time, say thank you and appreciate all your support. And I truly believe that none of this would have been possible without you. And so I really, really appreciate you and all the effort that you put. And I'm really lucky to have come across your profile to start with. And for this opportunity to have even started to begin with.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Actually, I have been the lucky one who got an opportunity to work with you for 2 long years. And
Yeah,
I cannot thank you enough for taking time for this interview. And I'm confident that this will help not only prospective applicants, but also incoming students to Anderson. And I wish you good luck with your job
thank you.
at Amgen. 2 months later, you'll be
Yes.
joining in July.
Yes, 3 months later. I graduate in June 13th, so I sort of have a month and a half break,
Okay.
and then I'll get into, the real what they call it, the real work.
Yeah. So have fun, enjoy the remaining few months at Anderson, and good luck, best wishes for your job, post MBA job, and continued success in your career. You are an amazing candidate, and sky is the limit for you. I really
Thank
hope
you.
wish you the very best, and stay in touch. Thank
Thank
you
you
again.
so much. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great day.